Do you like your makeup brush, Elliot, then? AKA microphone.
Heidi.
Hey, Elliot. What do you remember about the Little Mermaid?
Switch.
I also remember the Sea Witch.
Oh, the Sea Witch, yeah.
And I also remember the poodle.
When you scream like that, it's hard to hear you, baby.
Oh, okay. Don't scream. Just talk in a regular voice, okay?
Okay. I remember the Sea Witch and Ariel.
And Ariel, that's right. What did Ariel want? Do you remember?
That guy.
Mm-hmm. She wanted to be where the people were, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to be where the fish are?
We already talked about it.
I'd like to say.
Oh, okay.
Oh, is he done?
No, he just wants me to talk in the, like, back and forth. He wants us to take turns.
Oh, cool. That's so nice.
That is nice.
Do you want to be where the fish are if Ariel wants to be where the people are?
Would you? I don't want to go under the ocean. What about you, Elliot? It's your turn to talk.
What did you think about King Triton as a dad?
What did you think of Ariel's dad?
Was he kind of strict?
I don't know.
You don't know?
You don't remember? What did her dad do? What did the King Triton?
He got upset with her, and what did he do?
You remember what he did?
The last part?
No, remember when he got mad at her?
Oh, yeah. What they did, I forgot. Oh, King Triton broke all her treasures.
He did. He broke all her treasures. Wasn't that scary?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was a little scared.
You gasped when that happened. You were like...
You couldn't believe it.
I remember you made me laugh when we were watching when Ursula first came on. Do you remember what about Ursula you said and you thought was funny and it made me laugh? You got really excited?
Ooh. The ending when Ursula got really big, right?
Did you like that part? Or was that scary?
It was scaring me.
Yeah.
I just wondered why. She wouldn't get so big.
What did I tell you when you asked me that?
She was mad.
Yeah.
And he really wanted to know how she got where her magic came from, how she got her magic, and I didn't know the answer to that.
Well, that's a good question. I don't know either.
I know. I'm talking.
I think merpeople must just be magic because King Triton had his magic trident.
Yeah.
That he used to make firecrackers and destroy Ariel's stuff.
I remember something.
Yeah.
Do you know when Ursula turned King Triton into something for his garden?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that. That was sad, right?
She had a lot of merfolk that she had put and made into her garden.
He was a real big guy, and she made him all like sad and gray and squiggly. That was sad.
What about when you first saw Ursula in the movie, remember she was sitting up on the ledge? And do you remember when she got down, what made you laugh?
What?
Did she have a booty?
Was it her butt?
Oh, her butt.
You liked her butt.
You went, a butt. She had a butt. She had a butt.
Yeah.
What did you think of this movie, brother? Don't do that.
Oh, do you know at the end where all the garden scenes come back into mermaids and mermaids?
Yeah, that was a cool part. That made me happy.
What's something that you wish for? What's a wish that you'd make, like Ariel made?
To eat all the mermaids.
Oh my goodness.
Free all the mermaids.
You're goofy. So overall, what did you think of The Little Mermaid? What'd you think
Thumbs
of
up or thumbs down?
Mm-hmm.
Thumbs up.
Oh, we're getting a little bit of both.
One up and one down. I got it.
What was a thumbs down about it? What was something about it making you give it a thumbs down?
Is it scary, Ursula?
Yeah. Okay, what was thumbs up about?
I don't know what that is.
Big Ursula scared you, or was Big Ursula a thumbs up? Thumbs down. Okay,
Big
what was
thumbs
a thumbs
down.
up?
Did you like Sebastian?
Who was your favorite character?
Did you like the seagull? He was so silly.
Yeah, seagull.
The seagull. Mm-hmm.
Like
He couldn't sing at all, could he? He was like, wow.
Or did you like Flounder, the little fish, her fish friend?
Oh, I like
Mm-hmm. He tried to be brave for her, didn't he?
Yeah, when at the beginning when he almost got eaten out of the shark.
That shark.
Yeah. Elliot, let me ask you this. How did you waste time this week?
Because it wasn't.
You weren't using your calendar?
Yeah, mathematicians use calendars to keep track of time.
Mathematician. We watched Inside Out 2 again.
Oh, yeah? How was
And
it
we
this
were a
time?
little hesitant because Elliot said it was scary. Was it scary to watch it again?
It was
What
easier
part of
because you'd already seen it, right?
Yeah. Well, what part of it was maybe a little scary?
Takeover part.
The takeover part when anxiety takes over?
Yep.
Yeah, we
It
didn't
is
like that.
scary when anxiety takes over.
Yeah,
It's
that's
the truth.
I hate when they do that.
You got to learn how to control your anxiety, right?
That's about the Little Mermaid.
What's something that you can do to help control your anxiety? What do you think?
Poop on it.
Poop on it.
He just said, I thought this was a podcast about the Little Mermaid.
Well, what else do you have to say about the Little Mermaid, Elliot Finn?
Booty butt.
Yeah, booty butt. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to watch the next movie with me and be on our podcast next week?
What's it about?
We're going to watch a movie called The Princess Bride.
It has pirates in it
Mm-hmm.
I heard of it, but I never seen it.
and sword fights.
It does have sword fighting. And
And
a
it
giant.
has a giant, that's right. And a witch.
And
What?
he keeps screaming. And a
Oh.
bad guy.
Oh, there's a bad guy. He has 6 fingers. It's kind of scary. On one hand. Like that.
All right. You want to tell Didi bye?
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for coming on our podcast.
Nope.
Okay. Bye.
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 Hello, and welcome to the I Love You Bet podcast. I'm Heather, and this is my sister.
Ryan. Each week, we will revisit relics of our childhoods using our multiple master's degrees
To critically evaluate the crap that consumed our misspent youth. So join us.
sisters, latchkey kids, cuspers, and lazy feminists as we look back at our past to say, I love you, but.
Sometimes life gotta be a struggle bus.
And my phone bell.
Just like that. Maybe your phone has vertigo just like I do.
Hold on, I've got to move the phone again because I can't hear you. I got to turn my volume up. Or you're going to have to talk louder.
I don't want to talk louder.
I don't want to talk louder. Take the picture. Take the picture. Take the picture.
Take the picture.
I was irritating Elliot the other day because he, so they do the whole like house thing at his school.
Yeah.
Where, so all the kindergartners on Friday got to spin the wheel to see which house they got into. And he got into one, it's the greenhouse, and it's like Issa Bindi. is the name of the house. I don't know. I don't know if it's real Latin or they made the names up. The only one that I recognize as a name is there's one called Amistad.
Okay. It means peace.
But it's like ISBINDI. And I was like, it's a bendy. It's a bendy. Like I kept doing that. And he was like, I was doing, it's a Bucci. He was like, that's not what it is. I wish I could explain this to you, Elliot. So
He's very serious kindergartner. He doesn't understand.
Yeah, he's been getting really mad at me lately for messing with, like, joking with him. So he doesn't want me to do that anymore. He's like, are you joking? And I'm like, yes, don't do that.
Too bad. Right?
Yeah.
It's his rent
like,
on life.
Sorry, kid. I can't help it. How are you? You had a...
Yeah, I didn't get to finish the movie because I went to the ER.
Oh.
The fake ER.
The fake ER. What did they determine?
They put a liter of fluid in me and gave me an anti-nausea medication. And so the drive home was a lot more pleasant than the drive there. They pulled blood and said that all my levels are normal. So essentially I tried to... So yesterday, I had... let me restart this story. Sorry. Okay. So overnight Friday, I realized as I was turning in my sleep, I was feeling a little dizzy. And then I got up and I still felt a little dizzy, but I was okay. So I went to Eddie's new place and I went in and I started re-rolling the rug the opposite direction so that it would even itself out,
Yeah.
And as I was doing that, I just pitched forward and fell on the rug in the bed. It's oh, I think this vertigo has got me going. So I managed to get myself back up. And, I stayed on my knees and continued the task. And then got back up. And then I had to hang the curtain rod for the closet. And I realized if I looked up while I did it, it made me very dizzy. So to figure out that not look, but push up and unroll the thing to get it tight enough to be up there. And then I got the whole thing up there. And then I realized that I had ordered the kind of curtain where you have to hang it on the bar before you hang the bar. So take it down and repeat everything I had just done. And I was kind of fine. And then we came home and I rested and Mary and Nathan came over and that was nice. And then I cooked dinner. And I think the bending over and turning and all the normal things you do when you cook dinner, it was just too many turns and spins. So I was feeling a little nauseated. So then I lay down and then I was trying to finish Little Mermaid. And I was like, okay, this has happened to me before. And I did the thing. There's a thing online that you can do where you bend your head, turn your head 45 degrees, then you turn it sharply 90 degrees the opposite direction. And then you lie down really fast and you stay there for 30 seconds. And then you rotate onto your stomach. By the time I rotated onto my stomach, the world was spinning really, really fast. I felt like Estelle 2 from Arrested Development. It was horrible. And then I was like, oh, nope, I gotta throw up. So I was like, okay. So then I had to wait for everything to settle down enough so that I could Google what happens if you try this and it makes things worse. And basically it was go see a doctor. And I was like, cool. So I still have it. It's not as bad as it was last night. I got to go get Eddie today and Sky and bring them up here. And then I'm going to take an anti-nausea medication, wait 20 minutes, and try to do the maneuver again to see if I can get the vertigo to go away.
Well, this is interesting because I was listening to the How We're Here to Help podcast yesterday, and their guest was talking about how he had got.
So you were listening to
So I was listening to We're Here to Help, and the guest, I can't remember his name, was talking about how he developed vertigo later in life, but he also takes gummies. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't have. Oh, apparently I spilled coffee on the floor during all that.
I'm sorry, babe. What a great start to our fairy tale.
Lord
How do we make
almighty.
this into a fairy tale?
I'm feeling very trollish. So, well, I'm sorry for all of that. Are
That's
you okay
okay
to drive?
I mean, as long as I keep my head mostly forward, yes.
They make special glasses I've seen now.
I'll be okay.
No, I know. I just meant if this continues being a problem.
Yeah.
Can we maybe the next time you're trying to do things and that's happening, like think of a person you can call for help to like come help you do the things you're doing?
Well, Austin's going to help me finish everything.
Okay.
So, but yeah.
So Eddie's moving up this weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to get him today, and he and Sky are going to stay with us. And then tomorrow I have to go back and get all the stuff that he doesn't think he needs and finish setting up his room, and he moves in on Tuesday. I was going to go get him yesterday, and Lord, am I glad I didn't.
Yes.
That would have been a mess.
I love my mom text. I'm glad mom texted me to tell me that she was at the ER. And like, I was like, are you okay? Like, and she's like, yeah, I've just been up since 6. And I'm like, that's such a mom thing. Like,
Told her she could leave. And I could
know.
get her
I'm
ride.
like, thank God you're not the one who's having vertigo and in the ER.
Yeah. She was like, I was like, you can leave. I won't tell anyone. She's like, you'll tell the podcast. So I said, I won't tell the podcast.
She said you tell the podcast?
Yes. I said, I won't even tell the podcast if you leave me, Mom, I promise.
Yeah, but Mom, none of those people know. I mean, either they already know you, so they already know, or they don't know you.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
Why our mother will never listen to, well, also she doesn't listen to podcasts, but even if she did.
No, I make her listen to the podcast, but I skip any part that's about her.
Oh, you make her listen to ours?
Yeah, not
What
every
does she?
week.
What does she think of our podcast?
Sometimes she thinks we're funny.
Sometimes we're funny.
All right. So how'd you waste time this week? I got other stuff, but that's the
So one way I wasted time, I watched the new series, Nobody Wants This, with Kristen Bell and Seth Cohen, whatever his real name is, but he'll always be Seth Cohen to me. Mm-hmm. Which, interestingly enough, it's part of the plot is that it's sisters with a podcast.
Oh, okay.
And they're like on the precipice of like, you know, making a deal with Spotify or something.
Okay.
So that was interesting to guess what their podcast is about.
I don't know. What?
Oh, well, two like attractive girls. It's about sex.
Oh, okay.
So,
I mean, we could have a podcast about sex. It would just be a lot shorter and not very interesting.
But anyways, it was good. It was a good series. And so I watched it pretty quickly. And, you know, it was nice to see Seth Cohen all grown up.
Yeah.
And being sexy.
Okay.
And I love Kristen Bell, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I like her a lot in pretty much every version of whatever she does.
I made friends with the old ladies at Eddie's new place where he's going to move into. And they tricked me into playing bingo.
I saw the picture of you playing bingo and like how you want to live here. And it reminded me of when we moved Grandma and Papa into a place. And I was like trying to get her excited about it. And I was reading her all the activities. And I was like, I want to live here.
Yeah. They were fun ladies. I was really enjoying them. I was making them laugh because I had my big bottle of water, and one of the women was like, I've never seen a bottle of water that big. And I was like, well, I drink about 3 of those a day. What? You just go to the bathroom all the time. I said, no, I'm like a camel. She was like, it's good. Like a camel. It's
Maybe
like,
we need to get the old ladies to listen to our podcast.
Oh, I don't know if they can handle the language, but one of them did say that, so there were 2 Jackies. So there was Jackie 1 and Jackie 2. And Jackie 2 is like, why do I have to be Jackie 2? Well, you came in second, so you're Jackie 2. Fine. She says, I don't have a middle name. So they were talking about name meanings and like, what does Heather mean? And I was like, it just means moss. Like, it's not, there's no.
It's pretty
means,
moss.
mossy flower that sometimes is pretty, but yeah, it's moss. And so Jackie too said that she didn't have a middle name, so when she married, she took her maiden name as her middle name. And somebody asked what it was, and she said it was Vance. And I was like, Jackie Vance, that sounds like a cool, like literary, like heroine, like a detective, you know? And somebody else said, Vance, are you related to that senator? And she goes, I don't claim him. I don't know if Eddie's going to have a good time living there, but I'm enjoying these ladies very much. I've also been trying really hard not to be employed and not doing things. So I've been querying a bunch of agents. Nice. And I also managed to watch a couple weeks ago. I watched, so Netflix picked up a bunch of AMC shows.
Yeah.
And one of them is called Monsieur Spade. And it's about Sam Spade if he moved to France. And it stars Clive Owen. And it was really good. I enjoyed that a lot. And then I've been watching The Terror, which is, I believe, based on a true story of English dudes who were like, we're going to find a Northwest Passage to India and China through the Arctic in the 19th century. And everybody they meet is like, no, it doesn't want you here, go back. Go away. And they're like, no, Queen and Country, Empire, we must, blah, blah. Like drinking tea and this big ass, like, nightmare polar bears, like, tearing them apart. And, like, the main dude is like, no, we must do this. And I refuse to listen to reason. And then the polar bear thing, like, rips him in half and then throws half his body down the latrine, which is where they threw the body of the Eskimo man that they accidentally killed. So it was like wonderful poetic justice. So it's super gory, by the way, but I'm enjoying that very much. Like watching British dudes get torn apart for their idiocy is quite enjoyable.
Nice.
We'll see how long I have vertigo and how long that lasts. But
I don't know if maybe that might be contributing somewhat. I don't know.
No. No, it
does remind me of one way I had my time wasted. This week is like, so I teach AP mm-hmm. and I'm also doing this mock trial team. So I deal with a lot of like upper level, smart, a lot of white kids. Yeah. And so I was like planning and we're getting ready for this event for mock trial. And then it's like, I was like stuck at my desk trying to work. And these 3 white boys having a conversation at each other loudly that left me with a headache. And I was like, at one point I said, or like, and then there were like some girls like on the other side of the room doing other things. And I looked at them and I said, I'm about to start counting how many times I hear the word I. Like, cause it was just, well, I'm doing that. Well, I. And then like, I did kind of try to interject in the conversation at one point. And like, one kid just did the thing where you just continued saying what you were going to say instead of like actually. Yeah. So it was like these 3 white boys having a conversation at each other that like literally left me with a headache. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, oh my God, I hate. Like, I don't know how do I make them better without hurting their feelings?
I don't think you can. I think you have to hurt their feelings.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So one of them I do. So one of them I've known for longer, and I do often try to check his privilege. Yeah. Because like he was talking about how like, we're going to win everything. And I was like, well, and then another one of them to his credit was like, well, we haven't done anything. So, and he was like, well, you have to have confidence. And I was like, yes, confidence, like, without anything to back it up. It's the way of the world. Like, it's totally the way to be. And he was like, bruh, bruh. And I was like, well, but. And I actually ended up writing a letter. So Friday night, I stayed up until like 11 writing a letter of recommendation for this kid because I'd been putting it off. And I focused on his ability, like I talked about his ability to have his beliefs and knowledge and experiences in his life challenged and be very like open to that and growing and learning from that.
Oh, that was nice of you.
Yeah, because he has. Like, he was the one that was, like, doing the thing with the research project last year where he was, like, mapping out acts of gun violence. And he was like, wow, that's, like, one street over for me. Like, wow, this happens near where I live, too. Like,
Right.
This isn't just their problem, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that was like funny. And I was like, why don't the girls ever, like, how do I get the boys to leave me alone and like the girls to come have a conversation near me? Why is this? So, but it's funny. But, so that was one way I wasted time. I had another one.
Well, while you think of it, what do you remember about The Little Mermaid from 1989?
I mean, I remember everything. Like, I feel like this one, as we went on and watched, and I was remembering more things. Okay. Like, as far as the movie goes, I remember a lot. Like, there was a couple scenes where I was like, oh, yeah, I didn't remember that. Like, you know, basically, like, when she gets into the castle, like, with him, like, I was like, man, I don't remember that. But like, I remember the movie, but I think most of the things about this are like things that happen like in my life and my memories around the movie, if that makes sense, like in relation to the movie. So, like, I think one of my strongest memories as a child is as I had lied about being sick.
Yeah.
And to stay home from school, or I don't know, just because lying was fun and I had ADHD. So that gave me like dopamine hits. I don't know. But like, I pretended to be sick and I'd stayed home. And I guess, I don't know why mom was feeling especially whatever, but she like went out and bought The Little Mermaid on VHS.
Yeah.
Which, to my memory, which I'm sure is not accurate, I don't recall us ever owning an actual Disney VHS. Like,
no, we probably didn't, because they were expensive.
They were expensive, right? Like, I remember the giant like plastic case.
Yeah.
And they
yeah, that's great.
You know, they're really hard to open and they made terrible noises. But I can remember being very excited and then feeling immediately really guilty. But I'm sure that passed quickly. So that's a fun memory to have about that movie. So we watched this one a lot because we owned it, you know, whereas like everything else, I was actually talking to a kid in my class and I guess I forget this, or just because streaming services or I don't know, like so many kids seem to have access to the stuff, but we were watching one in a class one day when we had extra time, Lilo and Stitch, which is an older one. And a kid said, oh man, I've never seen this one before. And, you know, either I being an asshole or someone else being an asshole was like, you've never seen, you know? And he was like, well, yeah, we didn't have Disney when I was a kid, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, and so then I was like, you know, I didn't either. We always had to wait for those like twice a year when they would make it free for a week and you could watch all the stuff, which I don't know, because these kids are all born in like 2008.
Right. If they even had cable.
Yeah. So
to get free cable.
You know, I kind of felt like an asshole on that. But so anyway, so yeah, we, you know, we didn't have like, you know, or we would, like I said, we would record things when they came on TV, which we've talked about before. So that's kind of one of the strongest ones. All the songs, I remember theater kids all sang a lot of these songs, even in high school. Until Rent came out, and then all they wanted to sing was fucking songs from Rent, which I've never seen because the theater kids my senior year of high school ruined it for me by singing
16, I'm 19. It's one of the only. Nope.
Also, it was like I was so like how I get about things, and I was like, I actually know someone who died from AIDS, so like I don't need to watch this movie. And
so I remember that it had a different ending from the Hans Christian Andersen tale that we were read that was read to us as children.
Yeah, it was dark, right? The real version is very dark.
Well, so it is and then it isn't. So it actually has a happening. So I went through and reread the Hans Christian Andersen while I was watching this movie because I was like, man, this is boring. So we can talk about that later. I remember Ursula being a badass. I remember that very recently there was a super racist reaction to the live action movie because they made the mermaid an imaginary creature, dark skin tone. I remember that the Kiss the Girl kind of had rapey vibes. I'm pretty sure in the new one they kind of toned that down a little bit. Of course, Part of Your World, because we sing that everywhere, like I've said before. And I remember there was at least one time when we first moved into this house and our little cousin was living with us that we acted out The Little Mermaid in the hot tub.
Wow, that's a deep memory.
Yep.
Maybe vaguely. I don't.
Sure. Yeah. Of course, I also remember being in the hot tub when it was cold and turning the TV around and watching Twin Peaks with Dad.
But could you hear it? He probably had the speakers outside.
Yeah, well, and we opened the windows because, you know.
Okay. I remember he would always do that shit when Mom would leave. Like, he would, like, hang speakers on the wall or put them outside. Or like, it was always speakers.
Yeah. Speakers and lighting. That was all Dad. Technical theater to the end.
I mean, yeah, like, I don't know how we want to, like, if you want to go through the movie and I can talk about, or we can just talk about our memories. I did watch this with Elliot.
Okay. What do you think?
Which we had tried to watch it once before. And then as soon as Ursula came on, he was like, nope.
Yep.
But that wasn't that long ago. I mean, it was like 2 years ago.
That's a long time in kid years.
Yeah. One way I did not waste time this week. So another way I wasted time is that I had to spend a lot of time with my mother-in-law last night. So one way, you know, so I talked about how Elliot watched Inside Out 2, and Ben was like, oh, yeah, watch it, because he had been saying he was scared of it. It was scary. He didn't want to watch it again.
Yeah.
And like trying to explain to Martha how emotions can be scary, I just was like, no, I'm not doing this.
What are emotions?
Yeah, she was like, scary. What is it? What is it about? I was like, it's about feelings and emotions, and, you know, like, and she was like, how is that scary? What could be scary about? And I was just like, I'm not going here with you. One way Elliot wasted time with Martha yesterday was in the car to go to the restaurant for Ben's birthday. He tried to get us all to play the quiet game. So he tried to get Martha to play the quiet game.
Oh, you never hear about a kid trying to make an adult play the quiet game.
Oh, yeah, we played it on the way down there. Okay. Elliot always loses every time he plays the quiet game. But, like, him trying to get Martha to play the quiet game, like, after she'd already had a couple drinks, no less, was like, kid, just give up. Give it up. So, yes. And I also wasted time by going to have the dinner for Ben's birthday that we have gone and had for his birthday every year since I've met him.
Yeah, Mom was wondering if you guys were going to go to that.
We did it, yeah. Everybody orders the exact same thing, exact same drinks. I had to take Elliot outside for a little bit and let him run around because he was being, tired and hadn't eaten enough. So, but him trying to get Martha to play the quiet game was pretty funny.
That is pretty funny. Speaking of, so there's historic flooding in Asheville and they're in a state of emergency.
I saw that, and so I wondered if we were still...
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out. Basically, right now, they don't want to contact the Airbnb owner because they recognize that, like, if the person is local, they're probably just trying to deal with, like, basic necessities. But there's some ethical consideration among the group about just descending on a town that's in chaos, because, like... It's less than a month away, so they're probably not going to be better by then. But then it's also like, do we go to support the local economy? So there's conversations happening, and I'll just keep you apprised. But either way, I'm going to fly and see you. So
we digress, but so I guess we will play it by ear with the North Carolina thing. So.
Well, we digress a little, but there was the part where they were like, hurricane a-coming. It was like, I mean, I know they didn't have the weather service, but like, really? They didn't know a storm was coming? Like, hurricanes sneak up on you. Like,
I mean, I did ask the question I've never asked before. Like, what happened to all the sailors? Are we just to assume they all died?
I don't know, but it was like they were already in port. Yeah, there was a lot of like logistical questions that I had, and I tried not to ask too. Like there was fire underwater and paper underwater and stuff like. And I tried not to get into that, but I did have a question about. So, the sisters had a variety of hair colors. So I'm wondering, the genetics work differently in merpeople, or is Papa Triton a serial monogamist?
Well, I mean, Elliot did ask the question, "Where is her mom?"
Sure,
and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know."
Yeah.
So
in the original, it was the dad and the paternal grandmother, and there were no moms.
Yeah. Well, and I did notice it. I don't think I'd noticed this before when Ursula is talking. She's talking about how she used to be part of the kingdom.
Yeah.
And so that's an interesting story. I'm like, where's that backstory? So it actually made me, I had not had the desire to watch the new one, even though, I like that.
Because you're racist.
Because I'm racist. Exactly. That's why. What's her name? The fat actress. I like her.
I don't remember. It's not going to come to me now. Keep going.
Okay.
Suki.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's an M in her name, I think.
Melissa McCarthy.
Yes. There's two M's in her name.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyways, but this kind of made me want to watch it to see what they do and if they address any of that. So yeah, the daughters was very Elliot asked, "Where's the queen?" And then he said, "Maybe Ariel's the queen." And I was like,
she was the favorite daughter.
Yeah, I was like, maybe. I was like, well, she's the daughter, so I think she's the princess. I remember, and I can't remember if it was mom or dad. It was probably mom, but I remember one of our parents, when we watched it, commenting and being amazed at the animation of how everything was constantly moving.
Oh, yeah.
Underwater. Mm-hmm. Which, watching it now, I'm like, good God, this is so, like... But I can remember being impressed with it in 1989.
Sure.
Or 1990, whenever it came out. And one of our parents commenting on the amazing animation, which I don't remember. Was this one like computer or is this one?
It was pre-CGI, so it was all hand-drawn.
Yeah. I think this is one of the last ones, right?
Yeah. This one and Beauty and the Beast. And then after that, I think they switched. Aladdin, too. It was like these three all came out together in pretty quick. But then I think Hercules was also hand-drawn, too. It came out not long after this. So, anyway.
If only we could Google it.
If only I cared enough.
If only I cared enough, yeah. Oh, okay, sorry. I'm reading my notes, but so like, I don't know if you remember this, but this is another like side memory. At one point I drew like a mermaid and a crab in an underwater scene, kind of based on Ariel. And I remember someone praising me highly for it and saying how good it was. So then I just kept doing it over and over and over again. And then that made me remember other times in my life when I've done the same thing. So like I remember in kindergarten, I like painted a picture of like evening primroses and I won the like wildlife contest. And so then in first and second grade, I did it again and like didn't understand why I didn't win.
Oh.
And then like I remember in daycare when we were at like, this is an old one, like when we were at ABC daycare, I drew a butterfly and a teacher was like, "Oh, that's really cool. Can you teach these other kids?" And so like I just kept doing it. So it's like, oh, this thing gave me praise. I'm going to keep doing it over and over again, expecting to get like the same level of praise.
Hit the reward button.
Yeah, exactly. So on that note, I've decided Ariel is definitely ADHD.
Yeah, I said, how many adventurous ADHD heroines does Disney need?
Elliot, when Ursula came on, Elliot, so like, you know, she's sitting up on that ledge or whatever, and then she comes down, and Elliot goes, "A butt."
He goes, what?
A butt! He has a butt! So he was very entertained by Ursula's butt.
I wish I had known how gay pirating was when we were growing up. Like, Pirating is so gay. If you watch Our Flag Means Death, you'll be like, oh yeah, pirating is real gay. And also it really was. Like, they were like, I mean, people like, they acted like they were married. Like, dudes were like, yeah, we're married. We're at the sea. It's fine. Like, that's just how we live. Like,
Yeah.
a pirate's life indeed. I have zero desire to explore the depths of the ocean. No, thank you.
No, none. Absolutely terrifying.
I did like that she saved him, and that's in the original story. I hated the toxicity of romance, which in the original story, the deal she makes with the sea witch is that her legs will be divided so that she can dance, but she will be in constant pain. And she is. And he delights in the way that she dances, so she dances for him anyway. He treats her like a pet and makes her sleep at the end of his bed and ends up marrying someone else.
Yeah. So what I took away from this is like, it is such a conflict of feminist. So like, I feel like part of your world is kind of like, could be an anthem for like feminist movement, right? Like, I want to learn, I want out of here. Like, I want to know, I want to do, I want to be, right? Like, let me break out of these bonds that chain me or hold me or whatever.
Yes.
But then Ursula's like, yeah, you don't need to talk. Men don't care what you have to say. Like, you can fall in love in 3 days and 4 days just by being pretty and having the body. And, you know, and then it's like in the end, she has to choose between her family and this person she's known for 3 days. Like, I don't like it. So, and then of course, this original version of what you're telling me is like even worse.
Well, so part of what I was reading on Wikipedia after I read the story. So this is a quote from Wikipedia. In her analysis, Virginia Borges, I'm probably saying it wrong, concludes the story contains a message about love and self-sacrifice and the dangers of accepting abuse or inconsiderate treatment in the name of love. Susan White interprets the story as the difficult liminal passage of the girl into the order of speech and social symbolism, power, politics, and agency, which is symbolically understood as masculine. And so they talk a lot about, I guess Hans Christian Andersen sort of has these things of identity and changing identity, and that even there's sort of this potential like transgender reading of this. But then in another version, the artist Penn Dalton has made use of Laura Mulvey's interpretation of fetishism in art to link the Little Mermaid to the wearing of fetishistic clothes and obsessive cosmetic surgery with masculine fears of loss. And then my favorite reading of it is the American writer Richter Norton in My Dear Boy, Gay Love Letters Through the Centuries, and the German scholar Heinrich Dietering in Das Unferngeheimnis, The Open Secret, I did not say that right at all, theorized that The Little Mermaid was written as a love letter by Hans Christian Andersen to Edvard Collin. This is based on a letter Andersen wrote to Collin upon hearing of Collin's engagement to a young woman around the same time that The Little Mermaid was written. Andersen wrote, I languish for you as for a pretty Calabrian wench. My sentiments for you are those of a woman. The femininity of my nature and our friendship must remain a mystery. Andersen also sent the original story to Collin. Norton interprets the correspondence as a declaration of Andersen's homosexual love for Collin and describes The Little Mermaid as an allegory for Andersen's life.
Interesting.
And then there was another one before that where there was another feminist writer who reads the story like the same way that you say, where it's like she has this desire to go out beyond her world and to like expand, you know, beyond it. I do wonder,
but only so much, which I think is so true of like, especially American feminism, is it's like, then we're still mostly chatteled by this idea of being worthy of another person's love.
Yeah, and it's like the only way that she can get out and go into this other world is by tying herself romantically to a person.
Yeah.
Right? Like, she can't just go out on her own. the idea that you had of what was Ursula's backstory and what was kind of going on with her. I thought, there's these two very cowardly characters. And to me, to have that, there's not that many characters in this. And to have that many cowardly characters that are fish characters tells us that either the ocean is terrifying and therefore it makes cowards of fish, or Triton is a bully and he creates this kind of bully culture as a leader, right? That creates cowards of these people. And then I made a note that Daddy was right when she was like, I came in, it's like all mad and like muscles and like big nose. And I was like, damn, Daddy, yeah.
Yeah, Elliot was very upset when he started destroying her treasures.
So I'm sure that would be very upsetting for Elliot.
Yeah, that's what I threatened. When he's always like, I want this. And I'm like, okay, well, as soon as we sell some of your toys, you can have that. Like, my things. Like, we actually had a conversation recently. I can't remember how it started, but basically, like, it was like, what if I lost stuff or something? I don't know. Like, wouldn't you be sad if you lost all your things? And I was like, no. Like, I mean, things don't matter as much to me as people do. Like, let me tell you, honey, how much stuff. And I love stuff. I love my stuff. Like,
yeah, so
trying to be like, no, honey. But what did he say? Like, Ellie, he gasped. He like audibly gasped.
Oh.
When the dad started.
Well, it is a very violent act. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna throw your stuff in this box. It's like,
Yeah, it's not like I'm going to put it all in trash bags until you learn to clean your room or until we get bored and forget we did this.
And it happens really fast. Like, it's like, oh. Yeah.
Well, but I also like that you can see regret, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can see afterwards he's kind of like,
this is the only daddy I know how to be.
Yeah, right? Like, oh, maybe I overreacted, right? Yeah. But he never actually apologized, Ariel. Like, it's still that unspoken of like, here, let me give you what you want in the end. And let that be my way of saying I was wrong instead of just saying I was wrong.
Right.
So, but.
Well, I mean, he went through at least 2 wives. So, and then she's like, I love him. And I'm like, girl, no, you don't love him. You don't know him. It's the 80s.
I know.
Like, no.
Well, and him like, I love her. She saved me and I heard her voice and I can't recognize her.
Yeah. And I know that's all fairy tale stuff, but you do realize like how dangerous it is. I mean, I think that like we need to watch Drop Dead Fred, like, like not too far in the future to kind of counterbalance, like, because she always like,
let's see, what were some of Elliot's other hot takes? At one point, he just randomly started singing "Who Let the Dogs Out."
Did he recognize Ursula's voice box shell?
No.
It looks like the heart of Tafiti if you look at it.
Well, because it has the cylinder. So, but he at the end he said he goes, "Oh, I have a question for you.
Oh, okay.
Do mermaids sleep at night or stay awake?"
Oh, that's a good question.
And I said, I don't know, buddy. Like, what do you think? And I said, well, what about, do fish sleep at night? And so he decided that they do, that mermaids sleep at night.
Actually, in the original story, that's when they are allowed to go out. So like on their 15th birthday, they're each of the daughters is allowed to go out and like view the mainland.
Rumspringa.
And so that's how. So she's Ariel's the youngest, so she keeps hearing their different tales. And so, I mean, the movie stayed fairly close, but I always thought she got turned to Seafoam at the end. That's the threat, but she's actually, because she sacrificed so much of herself for him, these like air creatures come and save her, and it turns into this like Christian metaphor of sacrifice. And so she gets an immortal soul, because merpeople don't have that, but humans do. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I like it better if she became Seafoam. Yeah, I thought that your voice is such a perfect metaphor for what women often give up to get a man, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Good. And then there was Eric out there on the lawn playing with his dog like Elizabeth Bennet and Martin was 1995.
That's funny.
Like, oh my gosh, she's cute. And then I did also want to say, so, you know, that original story where dancing causes her pain and all that. Another way that we didn't waste time this week was going to see a Frida Kahlo exhibit at the DMA. And my time was wasted by the significant number of middle-aged and older white women talking about Frida in such a fetishistic way. I wanted to punch them. Like, well, you know, after that first abortion, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, she's not a Real Housewives character. Like, what the fuck? Y'all don't own shit. Like, stop. Like, and then, you know, we go into the store after because Eddie likes to shop, and there's just all this Frida shit, Frida here, Frida there. And I'm like, she was such a communist. She would have hated all of this. Like, it was really, really painful to deal with. But mainly it was this ownership that these white women felt. It reminded me of when I went to that comic book convention in Houston. And it was like all these people who don't create or make anything, and they're all talking about characters and stories like they own them because they're fans of them. And I'm like, get the fuck out. Like, this wouldn't exist. Like, you can't create. Like, you don't own shit. Get out. You own your stupid opinion.
Yeah,
go the fuck away.
Like, it's hard, right? Because it's like, yeah, on one side, it's really great that people know who she is, but it sucks that, like, it's not, like, they don't actually know who she is.
Right.
And her image is just
Well,
used.
I think what's obnoxious to me is acting as if they have any right to pretend that they know her. You know, I mean, there's a way that you can share information that you have about someone and their life without it sounding like you are the authority and you know things that other people don't know. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you don't own her. You don't own any piece of her. Like, you don't. So it was very, very strange to be there. It was like,
I really want that docent from the Oklahoma Museum.
Yeah.
Talking about.
Oh, I know. That would have been something. I was like, that would have been something. Like, these docents were not at all fun. Like, they were just kind of standing there. Like,
but as far as like acting like you know someone and you're the authority on their life.
Yeah, and being wrong.
Yeah. Well, the thing too, because like I'm talking about how, like, you know, when we were kids, nobody knew really about, you know, Dia de Muertos. Like, there was none of that stuff was in stores. It wasn't commercial. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Right. We knew about it because we, you know, grew up in Texas and Catholic.
And the Catholic Church. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But like now it's the commercialization of it is like allows you to be like lazy, you know, diverse. Like, it's lazy diversity. Right.
Yeah.
And it's just like, ugh.
And is it diversity or is it just cultural appropriation? Like, hey.
I mean, yeah, I guess if you like kind of celebrate it and then throw the decorations up, then yes, it's cultural appropriation without really knowing what it's about. You know, it's like, oh, I watched Coco. I know what this is all about. And it's like, you know, which is cool. Like, I think it's good to, you know, it's like that balance, like that double edge. It's like how many people now, you know, our kids get to know about the way other people do things, but, you know, like essentialize it or whittle it down to just the basics, you know. And then there's like knowing and practicing are two different things. Like, so you're like, you can know about a thing, but that doesn't mean that you're like, I'm going to put the decorations up and all of that. And I say that as someone who owns, you know, some Dia de los Muertos decorations, right? So
yeah. I have one ornament, but really the ornament is in tribute to the sensational settings that we did. So it's not, I feel like there's a personalization there that isn't really about the holiday itself because, you know, it's not my culture, you know. But I did tell
Well, and
Carmen, I
some
was
of the
like,
stuff
man,
I
now I know
have-
how you feel when you get so mad about Dia de los Muertos. Like, you would have been in there punching these white ladies, girl. Like, damn. And then Mom and I got into a fight because I didn't know. I honestly, it's not like I haven't watched the movie. I don't know that much about Frida Kahlo. Like, I know just enough to not go around acting like I know all about her, right? And first of all, I didn't even know she had abortions. I didn't know she had 4. Like, that is like just damn. Like, damn, that sucks. But also, I don't imagine carrying a baby to term with her physical limitations would have been good either. You know, like, I don't think she had a lot of good choices. Diego Rivera cheated on her with her sister.
Yeah.
Like, what a piece of shit. And she's like, well,
he was an absolute piece of shit.
Yeah, she was like, no, but she cheated too. And I was like, she cheated too. Out with it. Like, and even if it had been his brother, I think there was just something he just seemed to be so unfeeling to me, you know, that like he wouldn't even care. I mean, I just feel like how that must have devastated her. And yes, she stayed with him, and I get, you know, it's all complicated, but it's like, at least in this kind of story, it's complicated in a way where it's like, but she loves him. Whereas like in The Little Mermaid, it's like, but she loves him. It's like, no, she doesn't. She fucking doesn't. Like,
did they talk about, like, do you know about how she got like her physical limitations? Like, what happened?
Yeah, so it went through phases of her life. It was like an Eras tour of Frida Kahlo. So it started in her childhood with polio, and then bus accident, and then showed like how that renewed her interest in art. Because like the first things were all basically just photographs of her that family members took. But it was like, even then, because she was born in like 1907, like the fact that there were single pictures of her, I'm like, well, you know, she had some kind of money, because not that many people could afford to get a photograph. And even if you did, you wouldn't afford it to be one person. It would have been like the whole family. And they're looking like death, you know? Yeah, it was tough because there was a whole section with this guy. I can't remember where he was from, somewhere in Europe. And he did a bunch of portraits of her. He did and they were beautiful. I mean, you could tell how much he cared for her and admired her and everything else. And it's like, he loved her so much, and she just went back to Diego. Like, you know, it's like, don't lionize romantic love. Like, it's not great. Like,
no.
Romantic love is very toxic.
Yeah, no, I think, and that, you know, maybe that'll be like our thing that comes out of these like fucking fairy tales, and the fairy tales we're fed, and like, it's just like, that shouldn't be the end all be all, right? Like,
right. There's so many more important things in life. Yeah.
There's so many more important things in life, you know, like my students just don't understand like my relationship, and a lot of adults don't understand my and Ben's relationship. And it's like, you know, the other day Elliot was like, asked me if I was Daddy's best friend, and I was like, probably, but you know, and he's like, is he yours? And I'm like, nope. Like, he's not, and you know, and he knows that, and he's fine with that, and it's like, you know, so it's just. But then I know people that are, like, I know people that met in high school who are married, and they are each other's best friend. But it's not, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to fight that. And I want to fight that. Like we've come so far culturally, I think, in like kids growing up with like a variety of experiences and ideas and seeing it. But it's like this idea of like, relationships and love being the end all be all, and it's not just hetero, it's like not just a heteronormative thing, right? Like I see like in teenage, like the same abusive relationships, like emotionally dependence. Like when I talk to them about like what is cheating, like listening to them talk about their beliefs about relationships is like terrifyingly hilarious. Like it's like a flipped coin. Like it's hilarious, but at the same time, it's like you know. So like you know, like it's definitely about bros before their friends. Like you know, like if their friend even talks to their person, like the jealousy and the distrust and the like. it's just, you know, and every time there's a fight, especially between girls, like any kind of physical fight, it always revolves around a boy. And it's just like, if only you would put that energy into something else. And like, maybe it's hard for me to understand because I didn't experience that. Like, like, I mean, I experienced the longing for it, right? I experienced the belief that my worth and my value was very much placed in
having a man be attracted to you.
Having a man, having a relationship, having someone love me, and then later in life, like physical desire.
Yeah.
But like the experience of it, you know, I don't know. Like we've digressed, but I do. Do you remember me having that black like nighty gauzy dress and dancing around doing the Ursula song and acting out like Ursula?
Oh, I wish I did.
It was like gauzy and then I don't know, like it was definitely like a nighty night gown for an adult that I wore and would dance around like Ursula. So in a way, I think it was kind of empowering for me to see a fat character, not a fat person, but a fat character. You know, of course she was a villain, so, you know. And then the other memory I have is my friend Mike from high school, who I've recently reconnected with and may or may not listen to our podcast. So if you do, shout out to you.
Sup, Mike?
What?
Said sup, Mike.
Yeah. Or Michael. I think you're going by Mike, you know, as an adult. But anyway, so we took French together our freshman year. And I remember him constantly singing the fucking Les Poissons song as soon as he learned that in French, and he'd be like, like, so I don't know that either of us passed that first year of French, but we had some laughs. I know I didn't. Maybe he did. I did not. I had to go to take American Sign Language.
Oh,
but
sorry, babe. You got dad's language thing. Or lack thereof.
Lack of ability to learn a language, or I have ADHD. That's why I didn't get a college degree. To dedicate myself to learning something. I don't think I have anything else to say about this movie.
That's cool. Welcome to Fairytale Fall, y'all. Yay! You knew we were going to ruin fairy tales. That's it for this episode of I Love You But. Join us next week when we discuss The Princess Bride, which I'm sure we won't ruin because it's amazing. What made you laugh? What made you cringe? What did we forget? What should we talk about in future episodes? 2025 is upon us. Bring it on. We want to know your thoughts. Find us on Instagram and Threads at I Love You But Pod, or email us at iloveyoubutpod@gmail.com. Listener email and comments may turn up in future episodes. Be sure. Hey, if you like us and you're listening, get out there, take a second to rate, review, and follow. Subscribe to I Love You But wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for listening. I'm Heather.
I'm Ryan, and we wish you lots and lots of conditional love.